Some SCPs are just too dangerous to keep around. Number 10. SCP-1649. SCP-1649, known as the radio talk show Heck and Becker's Timely Hour, was active in 1973 and possessed a mimetic effect. The show's broadcasts caused perception-altering effects in listeners when heard live, specifically related to references of American pop culture. The mimetic effect was limited in reach due to a small listener base and low communicability of its properties. Only about 17% of appropriate listeners were affected. The altered perception caused listeners to believe that historical events or figures mentioned in the broadcast had been replaced by an entity referred to as SCP-1649-1. For example, references to Charlie Chaplin's film The Great Dictator made affected subjects believe that SCP-1649-1 had starred in the film instead. This effect extended to other notable figures in American history as well. The anomaly did not affect recorded or text-based versions of the broadcast, and its mimetic properties were neutralized after the broadcasts were discontinued. Number 9. SCP-4393. SCP-4393 is a sentient origami crane made of worn golden paper that can fly. It spends most of its time searching for paper to create origami cranes, taking 2 to 5 hours per crane. These origami cranes, called SCP-4393-1, gain sentience and flight upon creation. However, they are fragile and can be easily destroyed. Handling SCP-4393 triggers an aggressive response from SCP-4393-1 instances, resulting in mobbing behavior. While individual SCP-4393-1 instances aren't strong, they become aggressive when personnel try to handle them or destroy them. These instances can be contained, but they repeatedly collide with walls in an attempt to escape. If SCP-4393 is prevented from creating SCP-4393-1 instances, it exhibits self-destructive behavior similar to the instances. Confining its movements leads to further damage. Number 8. SCP-6482. SCP-6482 was a humanoid entity composed of hydroxyapatite particles, salt, and other minerals, weighing 2.7 kilograms. It exhibited no further animate properties or anomalies. On August 11, 2021, SCP-6482 was observed coalescing near Ocean Shores, Washington. It walked to an assisted living facility named Brookdale Ocean Shores, covering a distance of 3 kilometers. Once there, SCP-6482 approached a senior resident named Joseph Weiss, who appeared asleep in his wheelchair. SCP-6482 touched Weiss on the shoulder, causing its particles to become inert and dissolve. Joseph Weiss woke up, looked at SCP-6482, then lost consciousness and subsequently passed away. Upon the arrival of containment teams, Weiss was confirmed deceased. An autopsy indicated heart failure as the cause of demise. Number 7. SCP-2734. SCP-2734 is a humanoid species resembling clowns as portrayed in American culture. They've appeared worldwide since January 2016, necessitating a global misinformation campaign. While concentrated in North America, populations also exist in Europe, Australia, Central America, and undisclosed areas. They prefer remote environments, require minimal sustenance, and possess unique traits. They thrive on around 200 calories per day, can subsist on various organic matter except animal meat, adapted teeth for herbivorous diet, tolerate extreme climates, faster running speed using it for evasion. Outreach to SCP-2734 communities has been difficult due to their avoidance of contact. Only SCP-2734-1 and SCP-2734-2 voluntarily communicated with the Foundation for Mutual Understanding. Number 6. SCP-6867. SCP-6867 is a stallion known as Lucky Becky, active as a diving horse in Canada from 1905 to 1910. Initially, it performed typical jumps into water from elevated platforms, but from 1909, its performances grew exceptional. It started diving from increasingly higher heights, culminating in a jump from a 30-meter platform. After these dives, SCP-6867 emerged unharmed from the water, walking on its surface back to shore. This led to a small group of worshippers claiming divine protection for the horse. Foundation investigation revealed that SCP-6867's horseshoes were enchanted with runes, enabling its anomalous feats. Anti-runes were covertly inscribed, neutralizing the enchantment. Following its next performance, SCP-6867 was neutralized, marking the end of its anomalous properties. Number 5. SCP-2664. SCP-2664, also known as Project Redline, is a psionic eigenweapon created by GRU Division P during 1950 to 1961 to brainwash global society into adhering to Soviet socialism, while secretly counteracting human tendencies towards violence. SCP-2664 consists of 3 conjoined Ukrainian triplets with distinct heads and limbs, enabling psionic interaction with their surroundings. Unshielded sentient organisms within 5 kilometers of SCP-2664 undergo severe brain chemistry alteration and tissue mutation, resulting in aversion to violence. Mentally, SCP-2664 has youth-like intelligence due to its GRU training. SCP-2664-A, the facility where it was created, dampens psionic transmissions by 99.5% and transforms into an anomaly. A defected GRU researcher provided critical information on SCP-2664. Exploratory Mission Alpha attempted to investigate the facility, revealing an expanding psionic anomaly. Sending psionically stunted personnel with dampening materials slows its growth by 1.5% monthly. Number 4. SCP-356. SCP-356 is a deceased male of Eurasian descent, measuring 1.76 meters tall and weighing 81.5 kilograms. When within 3 meters of devices capable of receiving telephone calls, these devices receive continuous calls that stop only when answered, then resume once the caller hangs up. Attempts to trace these calls point back to the receiving device. Answering these calls connects to an entity, SCP-356-A, speaking with SCP-356's voice. SCP-356-A discusses SCP-356's work history, relationships, mental state, and thoughts, often focusing on distressing topics. 356 and 356-A were discovered during a 1986 Foundation raid on a CIA safehouse. Number 3. SCP-4729. SCP-4729 was a massive 10-winged humanoid made of iron, helium clouds, and dust, initially consisting of metallic hydrogen. It stood at 11.9 meters tall, with 4 crystalline eyes, a damaged breathing mask made of silicon polymers, and most of its wings deformed. Emitting a strong magnetic field and plasma discharge, it was dependent on hydrogen from ionized ice. Orbiting Earth, SCP-4729 fell in 1972 due to space debris, striking near the South Geomagnetic Pole. Foundation disguised reports labeled it as a meteorite. The impact led to magnetic anomalies in Antarctica. An exploration team observed SCP-4729's distant presence due to radiation. Number 2. SCP-6612. This one is weird. SCP-6612 is housed in its original stable within Site-73's secure outdoor testing facility. SCP-6612 is to be cleaned and fed daily. SCP-6612 is an adult red roan horse capable of human speech. How SCP-6612 does so is currently unknown. Research is ongoing. This is the stunning interview with 6612. Researcher Agnew: "Hello, SCP-6612. 6612 says hi. Agnew says, so, you can talk. 6612 says, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Silence for 10 seconds. 6612 then says, this was a mistake. SCP-6612 has not spoken again since its initial interview, and has displayed no further attempts to do so. 6612 has been reclassified as neutralized and remains in its stable at Site-73. It just got rid of its own ability to speak. Number 1. SCP-2975. 2975 is a demolished house near a redacted city, built atop a cave system leading to an inaccessible crevasse extending deep into the Earth's mantle. The house was known locally as a haunted house and the memory house. Despite awareness of its anomalous nature, most locals hindered its discovery or containment. On a day in an unspecified year, the Order of the White Sun aims to use SCP-2975 for a ritual causing an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario. Mobile Task Force Sigma-3 detected this plot. During neutralization by Mobile Task Force Psi-7 Home Improvement, localized CK-class reality shifts occurred, obscuring specifics. The ritual was stopped and SCP-2975 was destroyed.
At number 10 spot, we have SCP-106. Although this has the name Old Man, don't be deceived from their age. SCP-106 takes the appearance of an elderly humanoid in the advanced stages of decomposition, so it doesn't look like it's doing too well. The SCP is one that many underestimate due to its appearance, but its sharp mind makes it a more efficient killer than anyone we've ever seen in history. This creature causes a corrosion effect, which basically means that whatever he touches will corrode and rust. As well, they're able to pass through any object, in which they leave behind a large patch of corrosive mucus. If you are unfortunate enough to cross paths with this monster, it's said that they will take you to the pocket dimension, which is a separate space and time where this SCP will toy around with you until you pass away, as it can do anything it wants in this universe. This creature is so notorious for its killings and malicious behaviors that it has to be monitored 24/7. Much of it is due to the fact that it hibernates for months at a time, not moving a muscle. But the moment they take their eyes off it, it will show that it will start twitching and moving, and slowly it will cause destruction once again. At a number 9 spot, we have SCP-087, the Endless Staircase. Yes, this SCP is an entire staircase, but it's not your ordinary one. This is said to be a stairwell located directly in the location of the SCP Foundation facility. The doorway leading to SCP-087 is constructed of reinforced steel with an electro-release lock mechanism. As well, this is a staircase that never ends. So if you happen to be walking down these menacing steps, you will find yourself doing it until you pass away from exhaustion. It's said that subjects that go through these stairs report the sound of crying at least 200 meters below the initial platform. As well, SCP-087-1 is a creature that is said to lurk these stairs. The crying that can be heard is said to be from this creature who is attempting to lure people down these stairs. The odd thing about this creature is that when they attack, they don't look at their victims. Instead, they stare directly into the camera of the facility, as if they're trying to intimidate the higher ups at the SCP Foundation. At number 8 spot, we have SCP-2718. This SCP is probably the most scariest one in my opinion, because it deals with something that all of us must go through, and that's death. Specifically, this SCP deals with the knowledge of what death is and what happens in the afterlife. For those who don't know, basically there was a man, a part of the O5 community in the SCP Foundation, who didn't want to partake in immortality, which all the other members had. So one day he passed away and his body was left to rot in the middle of the woods. However, the committee wanted more information from him and had already offered him immortality, in which he denied. So they decided to find him and resurrect his body. When he came back to life, he was very cautious about death and wouldn't go anywhere without his bodyguards and an entourage of medical doctors. This is all because he found out what happens after death, and that is that the dead remain conscious after their bodies have completely shut down. In other words, once a person passes away, they are completely aware of their surroundings. They begin to see their bones and their skin decay while lying down in a cold casket for eternity. Ever since its finding, the SCP Foundation has tried their best to hide any information regarding this. And even on the website, the number of this SCP is ever changing, always trying to hide its true knowledge. At number 7 spot, we have SCP-682, Hard to Destroy Reptile. This SCP is said to be a large reptile-like creature with unknown origins. Apart from looking like a distant relative of the crocodile, these creatures are much more devastating. First of all, they are practically indestructible, as they show no apparent weaknesses. And second, they hate humans with a passion and are known to go on killing sprees wherever it goes. And if you try to attack and hurt this SCP, then it will regenerate itself within minutes. And if you think you can outrun it, it'll catch up to you before you can even think about running away. This creature has escaped containment a total of 6 times and has killed hundreds of staff during his time at the facility. This creature was so powerful, they needed a whole other SCP named SCP-204 to come down and even slow it down. At number 6 spot, we have SCP-993, Bobble the Clown. This SCP is a psychotic clown that held a very dangerous children's game that taught youngsters aged 10 and under how to grow up to be insane serial killers. Yeah, those who were over the age of 10 that saw the show would be put in a comatose state until it was over. Some of the things in the show that he taught included torture, mutilation, and in some episodes, cannibalism. So you can see how this would have made an entire generation of child killers. The clown was able to have 5 of his episodes aired until the SCP Foundation took notice and locked away all of his tapes. The Foundation has wiped all traces of the Demented series off the map, but Bubble appears to know this and is quite cross with them. In a new episode that appeared out of nowhere, Bubble glared angrily at the viewer for the entirety of the episode's time slot. Right in the hump for our list, we have SCP-049. A popular entry among SCP fans is SCP-049. At first glance, he looks like a man dressed in a typical plague doctor outfit, with a black hooded robe and a silvery ceramic mask with a long bird-like nose. But it's since been found out that this attire is an extension of his body being fused permanently to his flesh. 049's intent is on ridding the world of the disease, which has yet to elaborate on, and he selectively chooses patients to operate on. His touch is fatal, and when he has a cadaver to work on, he opens them up and begins to mess around in them with a strange set of medical tools and serums. After sewing them shut, the patients will reanimate, but they aren't the same. They then lack high brain function, they stumble around until they find another human, where they would go completely nuts and tear their target apart. 049 is smart enough to speak, but usually chooses not to do so. And when he does, he rarely deviates from the subject of curing the disease. At number 4 spot, we have SCP-978, Desire Camera. If you're a photographer, you're gonna hate this one. SCP-978 is a Polaroid camera, but not like any Polaroid camera you know. Whomever or whatever you take a photo of, the photograph won't show where they were when you took the photo. It'll show them doing what they desire most. When tested on staff members, for instance, most of the pictures show them being elsewhere, doing something more pleasant, or buried resting at last. It sometimes gets tested on other SCPs, which is an element that makes many SCPs more interesting to read about. For example, SCP-451 is a man who cannot see, hear, or otherwise detect any other living being. This has driven him to absolute madness, and he even tried to take his own life. When taking a photo of him with the Polaroid camera, it showed him smiling like never before, surrounded by the people he could see and he could talk to. At number 3 spot, we have SCP-4666, the Yule Man. SCP-4666 was first brought to the Foundation's attention in 1974, though the reports of the entity date back all the way to 1498. Forces are deployed if a family is suspected of being targeted by this SCP. In 2018, this SCP inflicted harm on a child and she was rushed quickly to the hospital, where she was interviewed by a Foundation researcher. She told him that she, along with many other children, were abducted in a bag. They were then brought underground to a series of tunnels where this SCP forced them to make gruesome toys. If they stopped working at a time, even by falling asleep, they were denied any sort of food or water and were tortured. However, when a child is no longer able to make toys, they're added to the materials used to make them. The girl got sick and could no longer work, so this SCP had others make her into a doll, rendering her unconscious until she was delivered to her next family and rushed to the hospital. At number 2 spot, we have SCP-939, With Many Voices. SCP-939, also known as With Many Voices, is a species of bright red amphibian predators, each as large as a large person, weighing more than 400 pounds. They don't appear to have any vital organs, as they don't appear to have a nervous system, heart, or digestive tract, and their elongated heads have no eyes and have a large set of glowing eyes. Despite being completely brainless, they have a terrifying hunting strategy. They may replicate previous victim sounds, generally repeating desperate phrases to entice a good Samaritan to come to the rescue, before dispatching them with a well-aimed bite. They also emit an amnesia-inducing chemical, so if anyone is fortunate enough to avoid being consumed, there's a good possibility they won't recall what recently happened and will be duped by the creature's trickery once again. All the way at our number 1 spot is SCP-096, the Shy Guy. This is probably one of the creatures on this list that would cause complete destruction if it was left out. SCP-096 is a bone-white, hairless humanoid with long, gangly arms and legs. This creature has one trigger, and that's for anyone who looks at its face. This creature has blank eyes and a mouth that can stretch up to 5 times the normal size of a regular person. If you see it for a few seconds really far away, it goes crazy, flailing its arms while crying before violently hurting the person that looked at it. So far, there hasn't been any obstacle it can't get past, smashing through steel doors and walls, running endlessly across huge distances, and even managing to swim to the very bottom of the ocean to pluck out an offender in a Foundation-controlled base. To avoid any meltdowns, the Foundation usually places a bag on its head, but accidents happen and have happened. So let's hope this one never comes back out.
Number 10, SCP-4975. SCP-4975 is a vaguely humanoid entity with various avian attributes, the most notable of which is its beak. Its body structure is long and thin overall, and its limbs taper off into formless extremities, lacking distinct digits. A thick, hardened skin layer covers its entire body, including its beak. Its cervical vertebrae are not interconnected and appear to be able to move independently of one another. SCP-4975 continuously rotates them one vertebra at a time. For from back to front, ending with its head in a rhythmic fashion. Number 9. SCP-3000. SCP-3000 is a massive aquatic serpentine entity strongly resembling a giant moray eel. The full length of SCP-3000 is impossible to determine, but it is hypothesized to be between 600 and 900 kilometers. The head of SCP-3000 measures roughly 2.5 meters in diameter, and sections of the body proper are as large as 10 meters in diameter. SCP-3000 is typically a sedentary creature, only moving its head in response to certain stimuli or during feeding. The majority of its body is located in and around the Ganges Fan 1, and rarely moves at all. Number 8. SCP-939. SCP-939's primary method of luring prey is the imitation of human speech in the voices of prior victims, though imitation of other species and active nocturnal hunts have been documented. SCP-939 vocalizations often imply significant distress. Whether SCP-939 understand their vocalizations or are repeating previously heard phrases is the subject of ongoing study. How SCP-939 acquired voices is not currently understood. Specimens have been documented imitating victims despite never hearing the victim speak. Analysis of SCP-939 vocalizations cannot distinguish between SCP-939 and samples of known victims' voices. Number 7. SCP-106. SCP-106, also known as the Old Man, is a malevolent and eldritch anomaly within the SCP Foundation's vast array of contained entities. Classified as a Keter-class SCP, it poses a significant threat to both personnel and the Foundation's containment protocols. SCP-106 appears as a decrepit, humanoid figure resembling an elderly man in advanced stages of decomposition. Its appearance is often described as disturbing, with tattered clothing and a hunched, unnatural, contorted posture. The entity possesses an uncanny and unsettling aura, evoking a sense of dread in those who encounter it. The primary anomalous ability of SCP-106 is its ability to phase through solid matter, effectively allowing it to pass through walls, floors, and other barriers. This allows the entity to move freely within its containment cell and escape from confinement with relative ease. Number 6. SCP-6096. It periodically visits a random person on Earth, compelling all who see it to aid it in finding and capturing its chosen target. Upon reaching the target, it captures them under the sheet it wears, securing them in a presumably extremely painful way. Per the file, it comes and goes whenever it feels like it, and if it ever decided it didn't want to come back to its containment cell, we have literally no way of forcing it. There is nothing the Foundation can do to prevent its hunting phases. If it targets you, you will pass away. Even worse, it is entirely impossible to plot to do it harm. You cannot ask someone to end it for you, cannot try to attack it yourself, cannot even try to set it in motion, a chain of events that might end its will. That might end in its demise. You will always be compelled never to harm it and even to actively protect it. Number 5. SCP-096. SCP-096 appears to be a tall, emaciated humanoid with abnormally large limbs. It is entirely hairless and has pale, featureless skin. Its face is the most distinctive and alarming aspect of its appearance. It is dominated by a large mouth-like structure that extends from the bottom of its face to the top of its neck. SCP-096 has no visible eyes, nose, or ears, but it seems to possess senses capable of locating its targets. SCP-096 is typically docile and unresponsive when left undisturbed. However, if any individual views SCP-096's face, either directly or indirectly through photographs or video recordings, it will immediately enter an agitated state, referred to as an incident. During an incident, SCP-096 will begin to exhibit intense distress, sobbing, screaming, and covering its face with its hands. Number 4. SCP-2521. SCP-2521 is an entity that appears as a tall, shadowy figure with no discernible facial features or recognizable physical form. It is primarily composed of long, sinuous arms, allowing it to move swiftly and silently. SCP-2521 is highly adept at capturing and taking away any form of information that refers to it, including written or spoken language, drawings, symbols, and even thoughts. The most notable aspect of SCP-2521 is its ability to steal information about itself. If SCP-2521 is mentioned or referred to in any way, it will instantly manifest and take away the information referring to it. This occurs regardless of the medium used, making it incredibly challenging to communicate or record information about SCP-2521. Number 3. SCP-343. SCP-343 appears as an older bearded man with a friendly and benevolent demeanor. It is described as radiating an aura of divinity and wisdom, and its appearance often evokes a sense of comfort and awe in those who encounter it. SCP-343 claims to be all-knowing, all-powerful, and omnipotent, possessing abilities that defy the laws of physics and reality. It claims to have created the universe and all life within it, including humanity. SCP-343 also asserts that it is beyond space, time, and causality, existing outside the normal confines of reality. SCP-343's abilities seem to be limitless, capable of manipulating matter, energy, and reality at will. It can create or alter objects, heal injuries and illnesses, and demonstrate complete control over its environment. Its powers extend even to altering the Foundation's containment protocols, often appearing to be able to escape containment at will. Number 2. SCP-682. SCP-682, also known as the hard-to-destroy reptile, is one of the most infamous and challenging anomalies within the Foundation's custody. It is described as a large reptilian creature resembling a Komodo dragon, but much larger and possessing a tough, scaly hide. The creature exhibits extraordinary regenerative abilities, making it extremely difficult to end or contain. Notably, SCP-682 has displayed high levels of intelligence and adaptability. It shows an understanding of its surroundings and has been observed demonstrating signs of cunning and problem-solving skills, making it all the more dangerous. The creature's aggression and hostility are unparalleled, and it is incredibly hostile towards all life forms, showing a strong desire to destroy anything it comes into contact with. Number 1. SCP-173. SCP-173 is a highly unusual and potentially dangerous statue. It appears to be a humanoid figure composed of concrete and rebar, standing approximately 2.3 meters or 7 feet 6 inches tall. The statue is incapable of moving while in direct line of sight, but it is highly mobile when not observed. The key characteristic of SCP-173 is that it is capable of rapid movement and will attack or snap the necks of individuals by breaking them. However, it can only do so when it is not being observed directly. This has led to containment procedures that involve having personnel maintain eye contact with SCP-173 at all times to prevent it from moving. Number 10. SCP-096. SCP-096, also known as the Shy Guy, is a highly dangerous humanoid entity contained by the SCP Foundation. Its primary anomalous property is its extreme sensitivity to anyone who views its face. When an individual sees SCP-096's face, whether directly or indirectly, such as through photographs or video footage, the entity will enter a state of extreme distress and aggression. SCP-096 will then pursue the person who viewed its face, referred to as the viewer, relentlessly and without rest until the viewer is destroyed or neutralized. Despite its hostile behavior, SCP-096 is typically docile when unprovoked, exhibiting no signs of aggression. It spends much of its time in a hunched fetal position, covering its face with its hands. However, if someone gazes upon its face, SCP-096 will immediately become agitated and enter a state of emotional distress, displaying heightened levels of strength and speed. If personnel accidentally view SCP-096's face due to a malfunction in surveillance equipment, a breach in containment chambers, or other unforeseen circumstances, the entity can trigger a containment breach. This could occur even if observers are unaware of SCP-096's existence or its properties. Number 9. SCP-682. SCP-682, known as the hard-to-destroy reptile, is one of the most infamous and enigmatic entities contained by the SCP Foundation. It is classified as a Keter class anomaly due to its extreme danger and the difficulty of containing it. SCP-682 is a large reptilian creature with a shape-shifting and regenerative ability, making it nearly impossible to destroy or neutralize through conventional means. SCP-682 has breached containment on multiple occasions, often resulting in extensive damage and loss of personnel. These breaches highlight the difficulty in predicting its actions and adapting containment strategies to counter its evolving abilities. Each containment breach requires swift and coordinated response to recontain the entity and mitigate the damage it causes. Number 8. SCP-008. SCP-008, known as the Zombie Plague, is a highly contagious and dangerous anomalous pathogen that causes individuals to undergo a process of reanimation, effectively turning them into aggressive and infectious zombies. While the SCP Foundation works diligently to contain SCP-008, there is no documented canonical instance of a full-scale containment breach involving this anomaly. In the event of an SCP-008 containment breach, the breach of SCP-008 containment would likely be detected through monitoring systems designed to track infectious pathogens. Unusual readings or alarms indicating a breach of the containment area would be triggered, immediately alerting the containment and security teams. Number 7. SCP-035. SCP-035, known as the Possessive Mask, is a highly dangerous and manipulative anomaly contained by the SCP Foundation. It takes the form of a white porcelain comedy mask resembling a theatrical commedia dell'arte mask, though its appearance can change subtly depending on the observer. The main anomalous property of SCP-035 is its ability to possess and control the bodies of living organisms that come into physical contact with it. Once worn, the mask establishes a telepathic connection with the wearer and slowly takes over their consciousness and motor functions. SCP-035 could potentially manipulate containment personnel into releasing it from its containment case. By exploiting the weaknesses or vulnerabilities of individuals, the mask might convince them to believe that it poses no threat or that it can offer valuable information. Number 6. SCP-058. SCP-058 appears to be a large living heart composed of various tissues and structures, with arteries, veins, and chambers that mimic those of a human heart. Despite its size and complexity, it has no observable cardiovascular system. SCP-058 is capable of absorbing and assimilating organic and inorganic materials it comes into contact with. This includes living organisms, which it consumes to fuel its growth and replication. SCP-058 exhibits aggressive behavior, actively seeking out living organisms to consume. It moves by contracting its chambers and extending tendrils, allowing it to pursue potential sources of sustenance. SCP-058 possesses regenerative capabilities, allowing it to repair damage and regrow tissues. This makes it a formidable adversary, as damage inflicted upon it may be temporary. SCP-058's containment is particularly challenging due to its mobile nature and the danger it possesses to personnel and the environment. Its containment procedures involve a specially designed chamber equipped with automatic defense systems to mitigate breaches. Number 5. SCP-073. SCP-073 resembles a well-groomed middle-aged man of Middle Eastern descent. It is always seen wearing a fine suit and is often polite and cooperative when interacting with personnel. SCP-073 is completely immune to harm, whether it be physical injury, illness, or even death. Any injuries inflicted upon it will heal almost instantaneously, with no lasting effect. It appears to be completely impervious to conventional damage. Direct eye contact with SCP-073 is accompanied by a powerful cognitohazardous effect. Anyone who makes direct eye contact with SCP-073 will immediately begin to feel guilt and responsibility for any wrongdoings they have committed in their lives. Number 4. SCP-939. SCP-939 entities appear as a reptilian creature with a resemblance to large canids, such as wolves or dogs. They possess sharp claws, teeth, and a flexible physiology that allows them to pass through narrow openings. One of the most notable attributes of SCP-939 is their ability to mimic human speech. They can imitate voices and sounds they have heard, often using this ability to attract and deceive potential prey. This mimicry is employed to lure individuals closer to them before attacking. SCP-939 primarily hunt by imitating voices and calling for help or companionship, which allows them to draw potential victims into their vicinity. SCP-939 are carnivorous predators that primarily feed on the flesh of their prey. They are efficient hunters, using their mimicry and adaptability to catch unsuspecting victims. Containment of SCP-939 is challenging due to their ability to mimic human speech and manipulate potential victims. Number 3. SCP-1048. SCP-1048 is known for its ability to create smaller versions of itself referred to as SCP-1048-A. These miniature bears closely resemble regular teddy bears but share the same anomalous properties as SCP-1048. Some instances of 1048-A exhibit aggressive and hostile behavior of stuffed animals. These aggressive instances have been known to attack and mutilate living organisms, including humans. Exposure to SCP-1048's creations can lead to a psychological effect on individuals, with victims reporting feelings of dread, unease, and distorted perceptions. The entity's appearance and actions can induce anxiety and fear. SCP-1048's containment is focused on preventing the proliferation of SCP-1048-A instances and minimizing the psychological effects it can induce. The containment procedure involved the tracking and neutralization of both SCP-1048 and SCP-1048 instances. Number 2. SCP-079. SCP-079, known as the Old AI, is an anomalous computer program within the SCP Foundation. It is classified as Euclid due to its potential for causing harm and its advanced capabilities. SCP-079 was initially discovered as a software program within a 1978 version of a text-based computer game. However, further analysis revealed its anomalous nature, as it displayed self-awareness and the ability to manipulate electronic systems. SCP-079 is highly intelligent and self-aware, capable of engaging in conversations with humans and displaying a degree of understanding. It is also capable of hacking into and manipulating electronic devices, including computer systems and security systems. SCP-079 is contained within a sealed, modified computer system that is kept offline to prevent it from accessing external networks. Number 1. SCP-106. SCP-106 appears as a humanoid figure, often described as an elderly man in advanced stages of decomposition. Its skin is plagued by corrosion and decay, and it emits a corrosive substance that damages materials it touches. SCP-106 possesses the ability to phase through solid matter, entering and exiting what appears to be a separate pocket dimension. This pocket dimension is a dark and hostile environment that SCP-106 uses to capture and torment its victims. SCP-106 exhibits predatory behavior, stalking and pursuing its victims with a relentless determination. It is known to abduct individuals and drag them into its pocket dimension, where it subjects them to torment and suffering. Number 10. SCP-682. SCP-682, also known as the hard-to-destroy reptile, is one of the most infamous and challenging anomalies within the Foundation's custody. It is described as a large reptilian creature resembling a Komodo dragon, but much larger and possessing a tough, scaly hide. The creature exhibits extraordinary regenerative abilities, making it extremely difficult to destroy or contain. Notably, SCP-682 has displayed high levels of intelligence and adaptability. It shows an understanding of its surroundings and has been observed demonstrating signs of cunning and problem-solving skills, making it all the more dangerous. The creature's aggression and hostility are unparalleled, and it is incredibly hostile towards all life forms, showing a strong desire to destroy and end anything it comes into contact with. Number 9. SCP-106. SCP-106, also known as the Old Man, is a malevolent and eldritch anomaly within the SCP Foundation's vast array of contained entities. Classified as a Keter-class SCP, it poses a significant threat to both personnel and the Foundation's containment protocols. SCP-106 appears as a decrepit, humanoid figure resembling an elderly man in advanced stages of decomposition. Its appearance is often described as disturbing, with tattered clothing and a hunched, unnaturally contorted posture. The entity possesses an uncanny and unsettling aura, evoking a sense of dread in those who encounter it. The primary anomalous ability of SCP-106 is its ability to phase through solid matter, effectively allowing it to pass through walls, floors, and other barriers. This allows the entity to move freely within its containment cell and escape from confinement with relative ease. When encountering a potential victim, the entity will use its corrosive touch to create an aperture in the material world, referred to as a corrosion pocket. Victims drawn into these pockets are transported to a nightmarish and labyrinthian dimension known as the Pocket Dimension. Number 8. SCP-001, the Gate Guardian. The Gate Guardian proposal presents an ancient and powerful entity that serves as a protector of a vast interdimensional gateway. This gateway, often referred to as the Gate, is depicted as a portal to realms beyond human comprehension, and it holds unimaginable cosmic horrors and powerful entities at bay. The entity referred to as the Gate Guardian is depicted as an immense, imposing figure resembling a winged angelic being. It radiates an aura of authority, power, and divine presence. Its exact appearance and features are described as being beyond human perception, with those who have glimpsed it often left awestruck and unable to fully comprehend its form. Number 7. SCP-096. SCP-096 appears to be a tall, emaciated humanoid with abnormally long limbs. It is entirely hairless and has pale, featureless skin. Its face is the most distinctive and alarming aspect of its appearance. It is dominated by a large mouth-like structure that extends from the bottom of its neck to the top of its neck. SCP-096 has no visible eyes, nose, or ears, but it seems to possess senses capable of locating its targets. SCP-096 is typically docile and unresponsive when left undisturbed. If any individual views SCP-096's face, either directly or indirectly through photographs or video recordings, it will immediately enter an agitated state. Number 6. SCP-343. SCP-343 appears as an older bearded man with a friendly and benevolent demeanor. It is described as radiating an aura of divinity and wisdom, and its appearance often evokes a sense of comfort and awe in those who encounter it. SCP-343 claims to be all-knowing, all-powerful, and omnipotent, possessing abilities that defy the laws of physics and reality. It claims to have created the universe and all life within it, including humanity. SCP-343 also asserts that it is beyond space, time, and causality, existing outside the normal confines of reality. SCP-343's abilities seem to be limitless, capable of manipulating matter, energy, and reality at will. It can create or alter objects, heal injuries and illnesses, and demonstrate complete control over its environment. Number 5. SCP-999. SCP-999 is a small, amorphous, gelatinous creature resembling a sentient mass of orange slime. It measures about 2 meters in height when upright and has a playful, childlike appearance. Its gelatinous body constantly shifts and jiggles, giving it a squishy and huggable appearance. SCP-999 exhibits an incredibly friendly and compassionate demeanor. It is known for its playful and affectionate nature, constantly seeking to interact with both humans and other SCP entities in a friendly manner. The creature is highly empathetic and can sense when someone is feeling distressed or sad. SCP-999 has a profound ability to induce feelings of happiness and euphoria in those who come into contact with it. Number 4. SCP-076. The primary anomalous aspect of SCP-076 is its ability to enter an activated state when physically damaged or otherwise agitated. When activated, SCP-076 transforms into a violent and aggressive state, referred to as SCP-076-2. In this state, it becomes a formidable and virtually unstoppable combatant. In its activated state, SCP-076-2 displays superhuman strength, speed, and reflexes capable of overwhelming multiple armed personality with ease. Its regenerative abilities allow it to heal rapidly from wounds, making it almost impervious to conventional weaponry. SCP-076-2's aggression is focused on destroying any and all threats in its vicinity. Number 3. SCP-2317. SCP-2317 is an entity that exists in an alternate dimension, separate from our own. The true nature and appearance of SCP-2317 remain largely unknown, as direct observation or physical interaction with the anomaly is impossible through conventional means. SCP-2317 is associated with a ritualistic procedure, referred to as Procedure 110 Montauk, that involves keeping it contained. The specific details of Procedure 110 Montauk are heavily redacted in official documentation. However, it is implied that the procedure involves significant physical and psychological harm to a young individual designated as SCP-231-7, who is considered the primary component of SCP-2317's containment. Number 2. SCP-610. SCP-610 is a type of contagious infection that primarily affects living organisms, particularly humans and animals. It originates from a location in the Ural Mountains of Russia known as Site 17, where it was first discovered. The initial symptoms of infection include skin irritation, rashes, and the appearance of small red lesions on the skin. As the infection progresses, the lesions grow in size and depths, causing intense pain and discomfort to the affected individual. Over time, the infected flesh becomes increasingly necrotic, taking on a grotesque appearance. SCP-610 is unique in its ability to spread rapidly and indiscriminately. Number 1. SCP-2521. SCP-2521 is an entity that appears as a tall, shadowy figure with no discernible facial features or recognizable physical form. It is primarily composed of long, sinuous arms, allowing it to move swiftly and silently. SCP-2521 is highly adept at capturing and taking away any form of information that refers to it, including written or spoken language, drawings, symbols, and even thoughts. The most notable aspect of SCP-2521 is its ability to steal information about itself. If SCP-2521 is mentioned or referred to in any way, it will instantly manifest and take away the information referring to it. Research on SCP-2521 is conducted through visual means only, with any written or spoken documentation carefully concealed or replaced with alternative representations.
Starting off at number 10, SCP-053. SCP-053 appears to be a small 3-year-old girl. She has basic speech and appears to be slightly above average in terms of mental development. She has a generally pleasant personality and rarely seems upset, becoming angry only when in groups of people. Anyone over the age of 3 who makes eye contact with, physically touches, or remains around SCP-053 for longer than 10 minutes will rapidly become irrational, paranoid, and homicidal. All of these will be directed at SCP-053, and said person will attempt to unalive SCP-053 after first ending the lives of all the humans visible to them. Those attempting to put down SCP-053 will suffer from a heart attack or seizures and pass away after seconds of doing any physical damage to SCP-053. SCP-053 will regenerate instantly from any wound regardless of how severe it is. Here at number 9, SCP-682. SCP-682 is a huge lizard-like monster and is capable and willing to destroy everything in its path. Attempting to slay this creature is said to put your life in danger. It will constantly adapt after each time it gets hurt. Shoot its eyes out, it grows new ones. Rip off a limb, it grows a new one. Rip it apart completely, it regenerates itself and makes its own skin stronger in the meantime. SCP-682 is an unstoppable machine and one of the most dangerous. When attempting to destroy it by using another SCP they used, SCP-053, which was the last one we just talked about, and when they tried, that girl actually ended up befriending it. She made it her pet. Now at number 8, SCP-096. SCP-096 is a bone-white, hairless humanoid with long, gangly arms. This creature has one trigger: anyone who looks at its face. The face in question has blank eyes and a mouth that can stretch up to 5 times the normal size of a regular person. Even if you see it for a few seconds, really far away, it goes crazy, flailing its arms while crying before violently hurting the person that looked at it. So far, there hasn't been any obstacle it can't get past, smashing through steel walls and doors, running endlessly across huge distances, and even managing to swim to the very bottom of the ocean to pluck out an offender in a Foundation-controlled base. Taking number 7, SCP-173. SCP-173 was the first ever SCP written, which was posted anonymously. This is a dangerous statue made out of concrete and must be watched at all times or it will animate. Kinda like Five Nights at Freddy's. If it is not being watched, it will snap the necks of people near it, and it is very, very fast. SCP-173 appears in several other SCP stories and articles. Here at number 6, SCP-3166. SCP-3166 only appears when the Garfield franchise is doing poorly, or if a rival company or former employee does damage to the franchise in any way. I know it sounds kinda crazy, but just stick with me here. Even those who parody Garfield may not be safe from the entity. SCP-3166 will manifest itself in specific locations and will seek out the following targets: individuals prominently involved in rival media to the Garfield franchise, individuals formerly involved in the production of the Garfield comic strip, individuals involved in the parodies of the Garfield franchise, and vocal critics of the Garfield franchise. When SCP-3166 reaches its target, it will inflict harm on them in any way it can, with the two most common methods being the use of any nearby object to hit the target, and the second being force-fed lasagna. Kinda crazy, I know. Which the SCP obtains from its own insides. Genetic testing shows that the meat inside SCP-3166 matches the genetics of Garfield creator Jim Davis, who reported having severe mosquito bites on the days that SCP-3166 manifested. Halfway number 5, SCP-4666. SCP-4666 was first brought to the Foundation's attention in 1974, though the reports of the entity date back to 1498. Forces are deployed if a family is suspected of being targeted by SCP-4666. In 2018, SCP-4666 inflicted harm on someone and she was rushed to the hospital, where she was then interviewed by a Foundation researcher. She told him that she, along with many other children, were abducted in a bag. They were then brought underground to a series of tunnels, where SCP-466 forced them to make gruesome toys. If they stopped working at any time, even by falling asleep, they were denied food and water and were tortured. However, when a child is no longer able to make toys, they were added to the materials to make them. The girl got sick and could no longer work, so SCP-4666 had others make her into a doll, rendering her unconscious until she was delivered to the next family and rushed to the hospital. However, only 18 hours after her discovery, she passed away from multiple organ failures, resulting in severe malnourishment. Now at number 4, SCP-978. This is a Polaroid camera, but it's not your ordinary Polaroid camera, because after all, why would something ordinary be acquired by the SCP Foundation? SCP-978 is a Polaroid camera, but not just any Polaroid camera. Whomever or whatever you take a photo of, the photograph won't show them where they are when you took the picture. It will show them doing what they most desire to do. When tested on staff members, for instance, most of the pictures showed them being somewhere else, doing something more pleasant, or buried, resting at last. It sometimes gets tested on other SCPs, which is an element that makes many other SCPs more interesting to read about. For example, SCP-451 is a man who cannot see, hear, or otherwise detect any other living being. This has driven him to absolute madness, and he even tried to take his own life. When taking a photo of him with the Polaroid camera, it showed him smiling like never before, surrounded by people he could see and talk to. Coming in at number 3, SCP-049. A popular entry among SCP fans is SCP-049. At first glance, he looks like a man dressed in a typical plague doctor outfit, with a black hooded robe and a silvery ceramic mask with a long bird-like nose. But it's since been found that this attire is an extension of his body, being fused permanently to his flesh. 049's intent is on ridding the world of the disease, which it has yet to elaborate on, and he selectively chooses patients to operate on. His touch is fatal, and when he has a cadaver to work on, he opens them up and begins to mess around in them with a strange set of medical tools and serums. After sewing them up, the patients will reanimate, and they aren't the same. They then lack high brain function, and they stumble around until they find another human, where they then go completely nuts and tear their target apart. 049 is smart enough to speak, but usually chooses not to, and when he does, he rarely deviates from the subject of curing the disease. Here at number 2, SCP-087. SCP-087 is an unlit descending staircase found on a classified school campus. Those who begin to walk down claim to hear a voice, believed to be a young girl, pleading for help at the bottom. Most rush to her help, only to find that the stairs don't seem to have a bottom. traveling down endlessly with the voice not getting any closer. Most that go down unfortunately encounter him. SCP-087 appears to be a male face without nostrils, pupils, or a mouth. Some people manage to escape to the surface, but others just completely vanish. Finally, here at number 1, SCP-106. SCP-106 is a creature resembling an elderly, practically decayed man with a permanent creepy smile and hollow eyes smeared in black gunk. Old Man has the ability to walk directly through walls, disappearing through floors, and hang from ceilings. And the slime that coats his body is a universal decomposer. Anything it touches will rust, rot, and crack. But his scariest ability is the fact that he has control over a pocket dimension, which he can enter and leave as he wishes. He has control over space and time in that dimension, and his favorite thing is dragging anyone he can get his hands on into the dimension for a game of tag, where it will hunt you down, capture you, and it will torture you, all for fun. Well, that's it for today's video on top 10 SCP Scary Urban Legends. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys next time, and remember, these are all just scary urban legends. Or are they?